Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to this 12th episode of Being Social. As you know that in Being Social, I try to connect you with the inspiring personalities in my view and in generally also you find them inspiring. And it is a simple format of having a conversation unscripted and live online. So today's esteemed guest is Mr. K Mohandas, if I remember, Karunakaran Mohandas, and he worked in Kerala as an Indian Administrative Service Officer and also at other places, including Government of India as Secretary of Overseas Indian Affairs as well as Ministry of Shipping and where else I don't remember. He'll tell us. So, Mr. Mohandas, welcome to our episode and being social. So here we are generally connecting with the uh, people in the society. So everyone is a part of the society. So we request you to tell us something about your initial journey in life, education, and how you reached the Indian Administrative Service.
Thank you, Udaya, for your kind introduction. And I'm extremely happy to be part of your this journey of being social. Uh, and greetings to all the viewers from anywhere. Greetings from Thiruvananthapuram, where I live. Thiruvananthapuram, as you know, is in the extreme south of India, a very beautiful city. And post retirement, I have settled down in Thiruvananthapuram. Now, there you wanted me to start with my beginnings, the early days. Well, I was born in a village in Kerala in Kollam district. Had my schooling in my village itself. Uh, Perhaps one of the major turning points in my life was the high school education, 8th to 10th in those days, where they had started uh, the English medium classes during that year when I joined. Whether to study in English medium or use the local medium, that's a big debatable point. I would not get into that now. But then I would personally, I would say that I had a big advantage in being taught at that stage in English. And that has helped me throughout my life, throughout my career. Now, we had a couple of teachers, a very, very rare breed, who believed that getting marks in the academic purpose is important, but that's not the ultimate goal. They thought, their children must develop all-round personalities, and as part of that, reading, extra writing, and speaking. They were uh, made more or less compulsory, and that helped me very much in my future. Then, of course, the rest of it, uh, the the degree in chemistry. Actually, my education was in chemistry. After the graduation, I joined the masters in chemistry, and then in the first year, of course, I did reasonably well in my the first year exams. But then I thought I should take a call whether I want to be a chemistry teacher or a chemist in the future, or go for what I thought at that time was the best career option available for a young man, namely joining the civil services. So, of course, I thought at that time, but even today, I would still believe that the civil services are the best career opportunities for a youngster with some social commitment. So, so this much is about my education. Udaya, you can ask me further uh, on the subsequent things.
Okay, you said very interesting things. One of them you said is the English education helps achieve things better, which is very much true, because whether people agree or not, English is very important in this part of the world, and it's a global language now. The second thing is that it is inspiring that from a village you came and studied chemistry and then cracked the Indian Administrative Service examination and became an IS officer. So please tell us your experiences at work, starting from your initial positioning.
Yes. Before that, there is an anecdote about my uh, a couple of big challenges I faced in my life before joining the service. The first one was, of course, the 10th standard examinations. Now, what happens is normally in those days, the once the exams are over, the results are published in the newspaper on around the 25th of May every year. That used to be the practice in those days, and we don't really make an effort to know the results in advance. And in the village, it was not really practical. Also, although we had, of course, close relatives in Thiruvananthapuram and all that. So normally, I mean, I was expected to do well, uh, but then, when the results came in the newspapers, my number and the number of three of my friends who were uh, good in studies, including one who became an IPS officer later, these were missing. So this actually, at the age of 13, I was actually very quite young. I was just 13. But that age, getting a shock of that nature, I think again probably that would have helped me because to absorb shocks in future also. So this was one of an interesting thing. But then on further inquiry, what we learned was that uh, from a village school which has never done well, there are four students who have done exceedingly well. So there must have been some copying. So the headmaster, I mean, who was not a favorite of the department, so he would be an accomplice in students copying. So he could be caught. That was the objective of the people in the headquarters. Anyway, it was sorted out very soon, and of course, I mean, we could get the results and continue the higher education. So that was one of the challenges. The second big challenge came after the civil service examinations. The examination results came. I was one of the top. I mean, ranked seventh in the list, and there were quite a few people from Thiruvananthapuram who had also made it. And then we were expecting the intimation from the Government of India appointing us and asking us to report at Missouri and all that. The letter came to all my friends, but not to me. But I had also my ticket to Delhi and onward to Missouri. So finally, I got my letter, which said that you are found medically unfit to join the Indian Administrative Service because you are suffering from uh, progressive macular degeneration in both eyes. It was a double whammy because your eyesight being affected is one thing, and losing that opportunity after coming out successful in the exam, that was another big challenge. So the first thing was to rush to the best ophthalmologist in Trivandrum. He looked at it from all angles and he said, "Absolutely, I don't see any issue at all. I don't see any problem." So, and he gave a certificate. So with that, on the day on which I had booked the tickets, I went to Delhi, uh, went to North Block Department of Personnel, met the Under Secretary and IAS officer, and gave him a representation. And he said immediately he arranged a second medical examination. The second medical examination was in what was then called Willingdon Hospital, which is now Ram Manohar Lohia. And there, the doctor who examined, he just looked at the earlier finding and said, "This is criminal for a colleague to have found like this." So, and he gave a certificate clearing me. Went back to the ministry, got my orders and reported to Missouri a week after the course had started, and my batchmates had all reported and started their work. So this was again a big challenge which came, but then personally looking back, my own feeling is that being challenged at an early age gives you an advantage, makes you uh, uh, sort of face challenges. I mean, with an easy or ice cool mind. Well, then the usual training in Missouri, the sandwich training, initial 9 months, followed by 1 year training in the state uh, of Kerala again, and 3 months second phase, and then the regular posting as my first posting was a sub collector in Thiruvananthapuram, which I frankly did not want, because Thiruvananthapuram is not the best place for a junior officer. You get an opportunity to act independently, more independently, in other places which are away from the headquarters, because the telephone system was not well developed in those days. So seniors would not be bothering you. Ministers, politicians would not be bothering you if you are far away. They will have to book a trunk call and wait for it to be connected. Uh, Unlike now, when you can just dial any number or press the number in your mobile phone. So, but then the posting was in Trivandrum. I had to sort of take it up. Went through that, and then of course a couple of other jobs before becoming a district collector at the age of 29, and the district was Kottayam district, a fairly uh, prosperous, I would say prosperous, which is rich in. They say Kottayam is rich in literacy, rich in latex, which is rubber, which is a lot of money, and uh, it is also the home of the major newspapers in Kerala. So that is
Rich in
the
tourism and backwaters also.
sorry.
Rich in tourism and backwaters also.
Yes, yes, Komarakam is in Kottayam district. Yes, yes. So that was my stint as district collector. Would you like me to continue?
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Then uh, the job of district collector, of course, I think is the most visible job of an IAS officer, because although you may be doing more important things in your career, it is the collector's job which puts you in the eyes of the public, even in the days when there was no social media and there was no local television channel. And Kottayam, as I mentioned, is now all the major newspapers, Malayalam Manorama, with a huge circulation. So daily, I mean, you are part of some event, something, and naturally the collector is projected in the newspapers on a daily basis. Um, I think there are several reasons for the collector's job being found attractive by youngsters. In fact, why I would say, the IAS, joining the IAS is a dream for any young person. And I would say being the collector is a dream within a dream, if you may use that expression. So, because that is probably the most challenging period of your career, most attractive period of your career, when you get public recognition, when you are able to do things independently, statutorily, you can do things, you conduct elections, you do disaster management, you do act as the district magistrate and be tough with the law and order situation. Uh, you're part of the development activities. So all round involvement in these things, which are purely administrative and part of government, and a score of other things which are even outside government, like including, in those days, although people say that the collector is rendered ineffective because he's the chairman of 100 committees, but then as collector I was chairman of not 100, exactly 108 committees, which included the district sports council. I'm not a sportsman, but I was chairman of the district sports council, Red Cross Society. So, like, I mean, those systems have changed now, but then the all-round involvement in almost everything that happens in the government, being the principal representative of the government in a district, and being the head of the district administration. I think that gives tremendous opportunities, and so that, I mean, this, of course, I'm not going into the historical background and all that, but this is something which the British designed to ensure that there is a powerful local man, because any society would need a powerful person at the local level. They would want to look up to somebody who is a powerful, uh, who is in a powerful place to dispense favors, assistance, and generally take charge of the well-being of the people. So, and this, definitely, the job of collector has given a lot of satisfaction. I would say I've been able to help lots of people without keeping a list or document of containing the names of people whom I helped. I never done that. Uh, in fact, I would even say that where you have not been able to help people, I've tried to be a good listener of their grievances. So, listening, efficient listening is again an important administrative requirement, which I believe that I was able to do it properly to the satisfaction of the people who interacted with me. So that is about collectorship. Then, of course, there were a few other jobs, like I was managing director of the Apex Cooperative Bank, uh, and then another financial institution, the Kerala Financial Corporation, which is, tasked with lending for industries, and it's an extension of the industrial development arm of the government, state government. So that was again a challenging job, because uh, I mean, all those who come for loans from you, who say that they are investing in industries, are not really genuine, because quite a few are crooks, quite a few are innocent, gullible persons who honestly want to do something for themselves and for their society. And there are, of course, a few genuine investors who would really sort of uh, uh, confidently do their investment, manage it properly, and all that. So that was again my first exposure to industrial management and financing in the Kerala Financial Corporation. Then, of course, after those this, I joined the Kerala Secretariat, done various departments: finance, local administration, industries, revenue, planning, social welfare, and then a few incidental departments also, till I completed almost, yeah, not almost 30 years uh, in the service. And it was then that, again, unlike now, when empanelment as additional secretary happens at 25 years, in those days, empanelment as additional secretary to the Government of India happened after 30 years. So I was empaneled as additional secretary, joined uh, the Ministry of Finance, Department of Revenue. There again, of course, it was primarily, of course, the Revenue Department has all the taxation activities, the boards for income tax and customs and central excise in those days. So they are all part of the board. And by being part of the headquarters, I was in charge of hosts of other things, including enforcement, the director of enforcement, money laundering, state taxes, the transition from GST, sorry, from state sales tax to VAT to a future GST. So all those things were handled in in those days, and it was my first experience in the Government of India. Normally, these days, you have to have worked in a lower position in Government of India to get empaneled, but in those days, it was not really enforced strongly. So I could move to Government of India at a very late stage in my career. Then, of course, I became Secretary Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs, and subsequently Shipping. Retired in 2012, and moved back to my hometown. Of course, did a couple of small post-retirement jobs and still try to be doing something for myself and for society. So that's about my general, a calendar of my postings and all.
Thank you. People have got a feel of what is your thinking, how, what kind of person you are. So, viewers, Mr. Mohandas, as I know him, as you know him by now, is a paragon of simplicity and an avid reader, thinker, writer, contributor to various newspapers, journals, etc. Apart from the interviews that keep happening frequently. Um, what he had narrated right now is the, you can say it is a very brief summary of something he did, for which he has written a book. It is under publication very soon. It is more like an autobiography of Mr. Mohandas, and it will be in Malayalam first. Then hopefully it will come. Otherwise, we will find Google Translator to read it. Those of us who can't read Malayalam. And that's not his only book. He has also written another book which was released in 2024, I guess, which is called Right to Good Governance. So, Mr. Mohandas, a lot of people generally confuse these terms of good governance and governance and government. So, what is good governance? Please tell us briefly as you understand.
It's a very very simple thing. Good governance is good governance, and good, everybody knows what is good, and governance is the process of governing uh, anything. So that is the process of so one very interesting thing I noticed was that the Constitution of India does not contain the word governance, because uh, good governance, of course, was probably not expected, because uh, we know that the people who drafted the Constitution of India and who approved it were all great minds, very very distinguished freedom fighters, very eminent lawyers, men who have been in public service. So, and people like Dr. Rajendra Prasad, or Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, or Dr. Ambedkar. And of course, you can name any number of persons who were there in the Constituent Assembly. Uh, Obviously, they must have expected that the system they designed would work well, and if it works well, it takes care of governance in its best possible form. So that must have been the expectation. Uh, it has helped. Maybe it has probably the dream has probably been achieved partially. I mean, nobody can say that it has been fully achieved, but then we are lucky that we have a stable democratic system. We have been able to have the the form of government which was envisaged in the constitution itself continue uh, uh, way, I mean, right from 1952 onwards. And after the first elections in 1952, the systems have remained more or less the same, but then the constitution has been amended uh, as and when required. So it's not such a rigid thing. And what you cannot really change is what the Supreme Court called the basic structure of the constitution. So that way, good governance was expected, but then there are several gaps which any body in the administration should know, and anybody who has dealt with the administration, who is on the other side, who is the recipient of government services, namely the public, people at large. I'm sure the people at large would have experiences of uh, governance which is not the best. Anybody would go, I mean, going to a government office would probably think that they could have given me a better service. They should have given me a better service. And this is where the concept of good governance comes in. What is missing? What could be improved? And what systemic change could provide uh, an efficient service to the person who ultimately matters, namely the common person in India. So, so that is, I mean, I would say good governance is just that, doing things better I mean, for the benefit of the common person. And of course, it's a continuous thing. Not that governments have ignored that, but then there are several components in that. Like, say, if you look at enforcement, like the police department, maintenance of law and order, investigation into cases, arrest of persons. I mean, these are all things in which there are guidelines, there are laws, rules, and all that. And the violation of the laws and rules is as common the as the law itself, because compliance is probably I don't know what is the difference. I mean, the ratio between compliance and uh, non-compliance. Maybe I don't know. It would vary from state to state, but in some of the states, I'm sure maybe in any case, 80-20 would be a safe ratio for most of the things. 80% compliance and 20% non-compliance with the rules and laws and systems. So police is just an example. Land again is a very sensitive subject in our country for the people, and land administration. I mean, this is something which is now, of course, in the new era. This is something which is quite amenable to adoption of technology, and it is happening in the states. Of course, in most of the states, the land records are all being computerized or digitized. So the use of technology, the appropriate technology would can make a huge difference to the way service is provided to the people. And uh, I personally, my biggest hope is that adoption of technology will make a very huge change in the quality of governance. It is not really fully borne out by experience, because like you have the motor vehicles department, you have what are called what the the vehicle system information systems, the driver information systems, and all that. The systems are all there, but I don't know, anybody who has dealt with those systems would definitely find them inadequate, uh, non-responsive, and so I mean, technology is there. Technology will continue to change, improve itself. AI will, I mean, will change things beyond recognition. But then that is the opportunity for government to change the administrative systems and bring in ways to help the common persons, because people should not be wasting their time running after things which they are eligible to get in the normal way. It should reach them at their home. Of course, several government services are reaching their homes, like passports in the past. You had to wait for 2-3 months to get your passport, whereas this time I had to renew my passport. And the when I came back uh, from that passport office, I saw my message that your passport has been dispatched. So that level of efficiency is also there. But then that has to happen in all spheres of government activity. So,
Very
of a
well, very well said. The use of technology is very important because another thing the technology does is that it takes away the discretion from the system, wherein things can happen as per the rules and laws, and at a very efficient time and being responsive. So these are very important, and hopefully the transparency and efficiency, accountability, all these things will be bolstered by the use of artificial intelligence in due course. But sometimes what I think that we belong to, of course we have caught up with that now, we belong to the generation of digitally challenged. So still, when I go to rural areas, the very many senior citizen, some of them don't even have a mobile. So how will they access the services of the government, and everything comes digital and online? So that remains one of the areas of concern. Of course, somehow they will have to find an agent to get these things done. But yes, there are no ideal times to introduce reform. So hopefully, governments will take care of that by having some kind of a help desk that where they can access this kind of systems. So um, when we talk about good governance, one of the things is associated with the government's operations and systems is that it is too much rule governed, rule bound, and that adds to the burden of delays, the red tapeism. Of course, nowadays you may not have many files, but still within the use of technology, also sometimes without assigning proper reasons, government officials may delay it, deny it, or cause problems for the people. So, what is the way out? Of course, there can't be any single way out. But what do you think the government should do on that?
Corruption and delays. I think these are some of the perhaps the two worst things in the governmental system as far as the common person is concerned, and these definitely have to go. So there is no single panacea for all these evils which have always existed in the past. But then it is always possible to do these things by the introduction of certain measures which probably are being done now. Like, for example, social audit. Like, if there are sort of projects taking place or programs being implemented at local levels, involve the people. The system of social audit is something which can very effectively remove corruption at the local levels, whether it be public works, whether it be public distribution of food and other things and other benefits. Uh, Similarly, like we have the Panchayat Raj system. In the Panchayat Raj system, the uh, the people of the village in the constitution, in the I mean, the Gram Sabha is envisaged as a place where the people get an opportunity to express their views. Uh, of course, I speak from Kerala, and my experience is mostly in Kerala, with the result that it's very very different from that in many other parts of the country. Like earlier, Uday, you were mentioning about mobile phone penetration in Kerala. Almost everyone has a mobile phone, and apart from that, there are sort of service centers set up by governments or by sort of voluntary organizations, which help the people to access government services. Uh, so I think that system is prevalent in Kerala. It's a model which can be adopted in other places as well. Uh, so Kerala is different, and my experience is mostly in Kerala. And here, because of public awareness and public participation in anything political, uh, there is, corruption is at a very, very low level in Kerala. Uh, because of this, that is people's awareness and people's willingness to participate in various things, various programs. So the ideal solution would be the Panchayat Raj system, but again, unfortunately, while the design has been good, the implementation in most places has not uh, been in line with what it should have been ideally. So we have not been able to do that thing in a very uh, efficient, effective manner, and make the panchayats and municipalities a third tier of government below the center and the states. But we have the system where there is a will on the part of the state government primarily. It is possible uh, to educate people more. And again, it's easily said than done. But then education is a big uh, uh, changer, game changer. So if you are able to educate your people, and education is not just reading, writing, and basic arithmetic. If you are able to educate your people, definitely, their awareness levels will itself, the awareness level itself would be uh, an impediment to corrupt motives of government officers.
Yes, very well said. Because the rural development is very important, and I was very pleasantly surprised, which we sitting in these cities we do not know. When I went on these independent review missions in couple of states for rural development, so I found that in the Gram Sabhas also they have got a system of sakhis, like bank sakhi, which will guide people to how to open bank account, etc. Some Manrega sakhi or some other sakhi, lot of sakhis. So that gives some kind of a part-time employment to people also, particularly women, and it helps. I also noticed in Kerala, while doing these missions with Government of India Independent Review in rural development, I noticed that in Kerala we have got gram panchayats which are very rich. Some of them have their own power generation and all activities, and they extend loans to their people to get houses beyond the government. So some of really some of those I don't remember those great names, but they were exceedingly well. Maybe our viewers can browse on Google, and Google will tell you the success stories of Gram Panchayats in Kerala. So, on the one hand, Kerala is like this, and on the other hand, I had a privilege of visiting Mr. Mohandas's office when he was principal secretary, I think industry. So it was a humid month, and everybody was sweating, and I found that his room had a cooler. So I asked him, "You don't have for principal secretaries also air conditioners?" He said, "No. The left front government set up a benchmark earlier. This was, of course, long back, and they said nobody, even ministers, don't have air conditioners." So I guess with the times now things would have changed, but that was a kind of thing. It was not a left front government that time, but the governments continued that kind of simplicity to be reflected in behavior of the public service and the politicians as well. So those were very good examples to set and see. So, Mr. Mondas, can you tell us some of your experiences, learnings, and contributions? Of course, they happen all the time, but some landmark things you remember during your some experiences, interesting experiences to share.
Uh, if you ask me, which was the sort of most challenging job that I held in my entire service, I would say it was the job of secretary for local government, which I held in the period 91 to 96. So uh, the 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 Constitution, 73rd, 74th Constitution amendments had come, and the state governments had to toe the line by amending the state laws within 1 year and implement the new systems, the three-tier panchayat raj system, which was constitutionally mandated. So this happened during my responsibility in the local government, and uh, there are lots of interesting things that transpired during those days, because ultimately the basic question was delegation of powers to the panchayats and municipalities, and who has to decide on the delegation? The people who are now possessing those powers. The most interesting thing is, in the first policy discussion, uh, I I mean, even without my asking, the then chief minister, who was perceived as a person who wanted to centralize every authority in him, so he said, whatever you can decentralize, you decentralize to the panchayat system. That's a very, very unexpected, very interesting comment that came from him. But then the other ministers said, no, the CM will say so because he has only the home department, and in the police he is not going to decentralize. It's people like us, the other ministers, who are going to lose their jobs. So I remember telling the agriculture minister, like, agriculture is a state subject, but you have a huge Ministry of Agriculture in the union government. So like that, you decentralize, but still you will have to direct policies and all that. Uh, so that is one part of it. So identifying the best uh, inputs for the new laws, and drafting the law itself, and implementing it. That all that had to be done during my tenure in the local administration department. Very challenging, and like, for example, the Panchayat Raj bill, which was introduced in the state assembly, was had to be passed that day. We needed the governor's assent the next day, so that it would become law. Constitutionally, it had to come within 1 year. So the assembly sat till 7 a.m. They sat overnight and passed the bill at 7 o'clock in the morning. And after that, it was sent to the governor for his assent. Uh, Perhaps the uh, apart from the law and legislation and all that, one of the interesting things which to which I could contribute something was the implementation of poverty alleviation schemes. The normal practice in government is to implement schemes through the government departments, or sometimes through non-governmental organizations. But then, uh, when the central government introduced the scheme of urban basic services for the poor, because normally, poverty is tackled at the village level, attacked at the village level. Nobody bothered much in those days about urban poverty, but the ministry introduced a new scheme, urban basic services, and there they suggested the involvement of the community. And we thought that the best way would be to organize the community in such a way that they can efficiently, competently, transparently implement the programs. So we started with formation of neighborhood groups of women. 20 women in the neighborhood would form one neighborhood group. An apex community development society at the municipal ward level, and at the municipal level, uh, an apex. At the ward level, it was called area development society. At the municipal level, it was called community development society. So this was formed to start with in one municipality, Alapura, and then it was extended to all the municipalities in the state. And the uh, the key change that we introduced was that till that time, for the general guidance on poverty was based on nutrition, income, and all that. So you had all that various definitions of poverty based on how much income people get, or how much nutrition they are able to get. So we changed that, introduced 9.9 physical parameters to assess poverty. And remember, this was much before uh, people introduced what is called now called the multidimensional poverty index, which came just a few years back. But this was done in the 90s, the early 90s. That a form of multidimensional physical poverty index was designed, introduced, and uh, it started in 1992. 3 years, 1995, the municipality, Alapura municipality, where the pioneering work was done, they got the UN We the People Award. And the chairperson of the Municipal Community Development Society, a lady from a slum area, she traveled to New York to receive the UN award. I mean, remember the sort of satisfaction you get that when you this thing happens. So started in the rural areas, then I got it expanded to the biggest and most backward district of Kerala, namely Malappuram, where the population uh, was the highest among the districts, and women were not empowered at all. So we thought we should introduce it there. It was introduced there, and then of course time passed. The government changed. The left government came subsequently, and they found that this was an excellent model which should be developed. They introduced it throughout the state. They gave it a beautiful name called Kudumbashree, and they invited the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee to inaugurate this program, and he inaugurated in uh, the district of Malappuram. And after that, he privately said, "This is the biggest crowd of Muslim women which I will ever get to address." So, I mean, looking back, the way Kudumbashree movement has grown and established itself as a big uh, uh, social reform, I think that looking back, it gives a lot of satisfaction that one could be the pioneer of such an activity.
Yes, for the benefit of our viewers, the local governments are very important. That is often called the third tier of the government. But actually, when I talk to people in my guest lectures or in joining some seminars and all, I tell people that it is the central government or state government think that they have money and they are spending in their territories, which is not true, because the ascendancy of the state government and central government is limited to their own buildings. Outside their building is either a metropolitan development council or a local or a city development council, or a in the rural area there is a gram panchayat or rural body. So everything happens. All governments expenditure and benefit schemes, operations, all happen in the local government only. Unfortunately, for a very long time, the local governments were not empowered. And when, as Mr. Mohandas was talking about decentralization, a lot of things happened. But in the rural areas, still the gram panchayats hardly have any staff to cope up with the kind of responsibilities they are supposed to perform. So very few people have focused on these reforms. So some of these things are ongoing, and the city administration and the local body administration in the rural areas, still there are considerable challenges that have to be taken up by the governments, and we are we can only advocate for these things, because we cannot be part of it, but in our own ways, socially people do it, we also do it, a lot of people do it. So I'm just trying to say how important is the local governments he's talking about, and those were the days when it was still very minimal staffing and budget and knowledge skills in these administrations. So the local people politicians, the local political people, they used to have a ball at it, and they continue to have it. So that is where the good governance, when it is answerable, accountable, reachable, and responsive, so things will be more and more in the favor of the democracy, where people are supposed to be the supreme and everybody else is supposed to be there working for them, and they are the ones who pay for those people who are working for them also by way of taxes. So we have learned a lot of things about your career, Mr. Mondas. Now we know, I know some of your post-retirement activities continue as the director of independent director of few companies, and chairman. I saw in the Google, chairman of India Sea Trade, and the chairman of Kerala Pay Commission. So, what are these activities, and what more are you have you been doing now?
Yeah, I mean, these are some of the. I mean, I'm After retirement, I really did not want to take up a full-time job, and so I did not look for anything in Delhi. Moved back to Thiruvananthapuram, and of course and since I did not want a full-time job, the state government gave me some sort of part-time jobs. But then after that, uh, I was, there was this big project of the Vizhinjam port, which is now emerging as a very, very important uh, piece of infrastructure close to Thiruvananthapuram. So this was awarded to the Adani Group by the previous government. And so when the new government came, they wanted a judicial inquiry into it. So I was put as member of the Judicial Inquiry Commission. So that is one of the tasks which came, which of a judicial nature actually. Then, of course, after some time, after that, once that was over, they made me the chairman of the state pay commission to determine the salaries and allowances and benefits of government employees and all types of employees. I mean, of the in the system, like local bodies, universities, and various other agencies. And of course, you are given the mandate to recommend reforms as well. So what happens is that the pay revision part was looked at, implemented. The reform part, unfortunately, was that file was probably opened in government in the finance department, but uh, most of the suggestions, or I don't know if any of my recommendations have been implemented. So this is the pay commission. Of course, that pay commission is over, and that, of course, that pay commission has landed the government in further financial difficulties in spite of my being quite conservative. I mean, that is one part of it. Then, of course, I've been independent director of a couple of central public sector companies, and now I am independent director and chairman of uh, again a company, Hyderabad based, in the logistics sector. And India Sea Trade again is primarily an organizer of events again based in Cochin, but they organize logistics related events in various parts of the country.
And let me share some. Now we are reaching towards the end of conversation, so let me share some secrets about Mr. Mohandas's family. Very talented family. Either somebody is a classical dancer, or somebody is a doctor, or somebody is a management professional. Father-in-law, um, uh, parliamentarian and minister in Kerala, and his brother-in-law is having the same portfolio, I guess. Who was initially, when I met him long back, about 46 years back, that time he was a film star, Malayalam and Tamil. Now he is the minister, some minister in Kerala government. So does it motivate you or give you hints about you sometime you getting associated to politics?
Uh, Never, because I really did not. I mean, I consider myself unfit for politics as it is practiced in this country now. Uh, Actually, there was an opportunity when I was asked a direct question whether I would be willing to contest the state assembly elections in 2011. I had still just 1 year service left, uh, which was not very important, very not very significant. Although, of course, I retired as the senior most IAS officer in the country at that time. But again, that was not very important. I was asked this direct question because my father-in-law, who had his sort of long-standing constituency, uh, they were looking for somebody new. Because my father-in-law did not want to contest, so he asked me, and I said very clear no. My wife was also considered, but she also was not very interested. So I'm not political. I mean, not that I'm not interested in public service, but then that service, public service, my interest is not the type of political activity that takes place now. I'm unfit for that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you have to do a lot of compromises with, and people with principles cannot do that. That is what I also think in politics, because you have to start as an intern again, all the way after having been at the apex in the civil service. So those are intriguing things. Do you have hobbies? What kind of hobbies you have, Mr. Mohandas?
In fact, there is, I mean, those typical definition of hobbies, I think does not apply to me. I don't practice. In the younger days, you spoke of stamp collection, coin collection, and gardening, and all those things. But none of these things, I mean, apply to me at this stage. Basically, reading, writing, watching movies, uh, going out, travel, of course. Travel is something which all of us in the family enjoy. So these are some of the things that we do now. Yes.
Okay, finally, Mr. Mohandas, we have a segment on reflex questions. You are expected to answer without thinking, out of
Okay.
reflex.
And
So,
reflex is, of course, it's a tough task at this age.
yes.
Then let's go
Yeah, but
ahead.
yeah. So, what is the? I mean, these are just one or two word answers. What is a better experience, being a district collector in the state or being a secretary in Government of India?
A district collector in the state.
I thought so. Good governance or rule of law?
Good governance.
Politicians or civil servants? Who prevail on ground?
Politicians now, civil servants earlier.
Oh, yeah, okay. Civil servants or public servants?
Public servants would be more appropriate.
Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Mondas, for finding time to talk to us, and uh, as always, very uh, clear views on whatever we talked about, and we hope people will find your contributions, your experiences interesting. And before we close, what is the advice you will give to the young boys and girls in India or anywhere else in the world?
Uh, to the youngsters at large, my advice would be to one, take care of themselves. Don't be influenced by uh, evil influences like liquor or drugs or anything. Take, I mean, be your own master. That is the one basic thing to start with. Two, if it is, I mean, governance related matters, keep your eyes and ears open. Look at what is happening around you, and and uh, that that looking at must be sort of active watching uh, of the situation. Then participate, whether it is voting in the elections, participating in the type of social audit which I mentioned earlier, or in local movements, organizations. So be participative in these things. Uh, so basically, I think these would be some of the things which all the all the young people must look at. I mean, apart from taking care of their education, their looking for the best career for them, a career of their liking, and maintaining, I mean, moving away from uh, superstitions and other practice and other uh, bad practices, being new, uh, educating yourself with technology, uh, which is, now readily available all around you. So these are some of the things which the youngsters should take care of.
Thank you. Basically, you are saying that take care of yourself, be social, and be vigilant about your surroundings and learnings, and do good and be good. Thank you very much,
Exactly.
and we wish you all the best. Keep shining, keep remaining down to earth and simple human being that you are. And some other day we'll talk about some more things maybe in a year or two. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you very much. It has been a very interesting interaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, we are not live anymore.
Okay, good.
No, no, we're still live.
Is it still live?
Yes.